there will be famines. If we read Acts 11, verses 27 and 28, we will find that during the first century, there was worldwide famine, especially during the Emperor Claudius reigned. And then there will be earthquakes. You know, earthquakes was common in the Palestine. You remember when Jesus died? What happened? There was earthquake. You know? And also at his resurrection, there was earthquake. So earthquakes are frequent in the Holy Land due to a fault that runs through the Jordan River Valley. The next sign, Christians will be handed over and tortured and killed. Remember Stephen was stoned to death in the year AD 34, and then James in the year 62. And in AD 64, the Roman Empire authorized persecution of Christians. Many Christians across the empire were martyred, including Peter and Paul. The next sign, many will fall away from the faith because of the perilous times. The Jews who refused to believe in the Messiah, in effect, fell away from the faith, and so did many Christians who faced martyrdom. How about false prophets who will arise, Jesus said? Many false prophets urged to revolt against Rome in AD 66. They encouraged people to rebel against the power. And then how about lawlessness will increase? Prior to the revolt, the Roman authority acted with brutal disregard for the safety of the people. Jewish gangs known as the Scarai murdered people at will. How about the next sign? The gospel will be proclaimed to the inhabited world, meaning the Roman world before the end will come. By the time of the revolt in AD 66, the gospel had spread from Britain to the Black Sea, from Gaul to Galatia, and from Egypt to the banks of Euphrates River, covering the boundaries of the Roman Empire and beyond into India, where Thomas was martyred. So, based on the record of history, what Jesus prophesied in Matthew 24 regarding the destroying of the temple in Jerusalem has been fulfilled. It's amazing how Jesus has foretold about that. Some ministers believe that Matthew 24 only talk about that. So that's all. Matthew 24 only talking about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. There is nothing to do with the second coming of Christ. On the other hand, like I explained last Sunday, some ministers see Matthew 24 only talking about the signs of Christ's second coming. And both of them have their own arguments. For me, after careful study, I understand this chapter as both topics. First, it talks about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem that has been fulfilled, but this also talks about the signs of Christ's second coming. Why? Because here Jesus answered the disciples' question. And what are their questions? Please take a look, verse 3 again. There are two questions that the disciples asked. So Jesus answered those two questions. As Jesus was sitting in the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, This is the first question. When will this happen? What is here? This refers to the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, right? That is the first question. The second question, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? So, besides asking about when what Jesus said in verse 2 happened, the disciples also asked about the signs of Jesus' second coming. So, Matthew 24 talks about both things. First, about the destruction of Jerusalem, and second, about the signs of Jesus' second coming. Are you following me? And we have learned the first 5 signs, right? The appearance of many false prophets, false Christ, and the Antichrist. It was interesting even for me when I studied about the Antichrist. You remember during the Bible study we have learned from Revelation chapter 30 how one day, okay, maybe some of you, because you didn't come, let's read Revelation 13. How this prophecy start to be happen. Revelation 13. Start from verse 16. He also forced everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of his name. Have you heard about radio frequency identification number? And now they made it in a small chip that they put in arm and even at the other part of the body. During 2000 years, many commentators could not understand what is this talking about. How could someone who doesn't have mark finally, in the last day could not buy anything? But we have seen it's begin now. In certain club in Barcelona, if you don't have chip in your arm, you cannot enter the club. But when you have that chip, you don't need to bring cash, you don't need to even bring your credit card. They just scan your arm and you can buy any drink, any food, and the owner just take your money. It's happening. It's amazing what the Bible prophesies. If you want to know more, you can come to the Bible study. And then the second one, conflicts and wars among nations. Last week we had seen how during the past 4,000 years, only 230 something years that are considered peaceful time, but the rest, according to the statistic, our world full of wars, famines, and then earthquakes. We also have seen the frequencies of earthquake during the past 5 centuries. From 15th century to 20th century, we see how the frequencies keep increasing. And then Great Tribulation. Today, about 200 million Christians are persecuted because of their faith. You can see a lady who was cut. Yeah. Actually, I have other picture that's so scary. 3 young ladies in Indonesia just came back from school. They served the Lord, they loved the Lord. One of them even planned to go to seminary.